Hello and welcome to Unit 3, Part 2. My name is Mr. Bell, and we're going to create and solve some inequalities. We're going to graph the results. We're going to discuss the parameters and limitations. The first slide says to determine if the given point is in the solution set. And you're given two inequalities. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the x and y value and see if it makes true or not true statements. And if it's true, it is in the solution set. If it's not true, it's not. So let's start by putting a parentheses everywhere there is a variable. And now in place of the x, I'm going to plug in the x value from my point, which was a 0. And in place of the y value, I'm going to plug in the y value from the given point, which in this case is a 6. Working this out, we get 6 less than or equal to 2 times 0 is 0, and we're left with a 7. Is 6 less than 7 is less than or equal to 7? Yes, it is. So 0, 6, that point is in the solution set of this inequality. Number 2, let's do the same thing. We're going to do negative 4 times parentheses greater than 3 times parentheses plus 2. In place of my x value, I'm going to plug in the x value of my point, which was a 2. And in place of the y value, I'm going to plug in the y value of my point, which in this case was a 7. And now let's work this out. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, greater than 7 times 3 is 21. 21 plus 2 is 23. Is negative 8 greater than 23? Well, that's not true. So 2, 7 is not in the solution set of this inequality. Sometimes you'll be given a scenario and you'll have to actually write the inequality to represent it. So let's take a look at number 3. It says a number is less than or equal to 60. So a number x is less than or equal to 60. Pretty straightforward, not that bad. Take a look at number 4. It says the number of boys is greater than 3 times the number of girls. So the number of boys is greater than 3 times the number of girls. We have just set up an inequality to represent that scenario. And I'll take just a second to explain inequalities. The open end of the symbol goes to the bigger side. Remember, in inequality, in an algebra, we're comparing two things. We're comparing b to 3 times g. Well, the open end goes to the larger side. So that's why I read this as b is greater than, because this left side is greater than 3g. But the same sentence also reads that 3g is less than b. Well, think about that. If b is larger than 3g, that also means 3g is smaller than b. So be aware that inequalities, you're comparing two sides. One of them is larger than the other, and the other is smaller than the other. On these two examples, we're going to solve the inequalities and we're going to graph the results. So let's take a look at this problem number 5. It says negative 4x is greater than 16. If I want to solve this for x, my first step is to divide by negative 4 to cancel that times negative 4. If you do it to one side, you've got to do it to the other, in which case I get a result of 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4. Now this is one very important rule when dealing with inequalities. If you ever multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, then you've got to remember to flip the sign. Flip the inequality symbol. This is very important to remember. In this case, we divided both sides by negative 4, so we have to take our greater than symbol and flip it around to say less than, and then draw a basic graph. I usually put the number in the middle. In this case, if it's less than or greater than, it's an open circle. And then you can point it in the direction all the values less than negative 4 are to the left. And just a little refresher in the bottom, I'll do in green. If it's less than or greater than, they're going to be open circles, meaning they don't include the point itself. If it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's a closed circle because they do include the point in question. All right, to number 6, we need to solve this inequality. I have a variable on both sides. I need to cancel one of them. I'm going to subtract 2x to both sides, leaving me with negative 3 is less than or equal to x plus 4. Continuing to solve, I'll subtract 4 from both sides to get negative 7 is less than or equal to x. And remember what I said earlier, even though this reads negative 7 is less than or equal to x, it also reads x is greater than or equal to negative 7. Now, most of the time in algebra, you want to put the variable on the left side. Now, let's go ahead and graph it. In this case, since it's greater than or equal to, it'll be a closed circle. And all the values that are greater than negative 7 will be to the right of it on a number line. All right, thanks for watching and hope this helps.